Hi, I'm Mr. Hutchings, and you're listening to Mr. Hutchings History. This episode today is the overview of Unit 4 for the AP World History course, and it's Transoceanic Interconnections between 1450 and 1750. To be very clear, these are the transoceanic interconnections of both Europe, the Americas, and China. So, our skill focus today will be contextualization and causation, and our themes will be governance, technology and innovation, economic systems, cultural developments and interactions, and finally, social interactions and organizations. By 1450, the world's great civilizations, Ottoman, Ming, Mughal, Songhai, Inca, Aztec, were rich, confident, and mostly landbound. Within a century, the oceans would belong to Europe. In 1492, Christopher Columbus set sail seeking Asia, but found the Americas, connecting the eastern and western hemispheres for the first time in human history. His voyage began a new age of transoceanic interconnection, an age of ships, silver, sugar, and slavery. The old trade networks of Afro-Eurasia, the Silk Roads, the Indian Ocean, the Trans-Saharan routes, continued to hum with merchants and pilgrims. But now, a new highway opened, the sea itself. The Portuguese hugged Africa's coast, mapping winds and currents until they reached India. The Spanish crossed the Atlantic, carving a transoceanic bridge between Europe and the Americas. The Dutch, English, and French followed, building trading post empires that circled the globe. Why did Europeans look outward when others stayed home? It's because geography and necessity pushed them. Europe's kingdoms competed for wealth and resources, and new maritime technologies such as the compass, the lateen sail, and caravel made global exploration possible. This links to the theme of technology and innovation driving governance and empire. Cross cultural exchange fueled invention. The astrolabe from the Muslim world, compass from China, and ship designs from the Indian Ocean all met in Europe's ports. These tools allowed sailors to travel farther, faster, and more accurately. What happens when cultures share knowledge instead of guarding it? Well, progress accelerates. Shared technology multiplies innovation, showing how cultural interactions reshape the balance of global power. European voyages created the world's first truly global trade network. Across the Atlantic, the triangular trade linked Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Manufactured goods flowed to Africa. Enslaved Africans crossed the Middle Passage to the New World. Sugar, tobacco, and silver returned to Europe. Across the Pacific, Spanish galleons, that's a large type of ship, sailed between Acapulco and Manila, exchanging silver for silk and porcelain. What connected all these distant routes? Well, the answer is silver. Mined in the Andes Mountains, it became the first global currency, fueling trade from Mexico to Ming China. Under the theme of economic systems, silver tied continents together, creating both wealth and dependency. The most profound connection wasn't trade, but biology. The Columbian exchange transferred crops, animals, and diseases across hemispheres. From the Old World came horses, cattle, wheat, and smallpox. From the New World came potatoes, maize, otherwise known as corn, tomatoes, and tobacco. Why did this exchange affect populations so differently? It's because Native Americans had no immunity to Eurasian diseases. The Native American populations collapsed by as much as 90%. Meanwhile, new American crops enriched Europe and Africa, spurring population growth in both Europe and Africa. This shows causation in action. Shared contact produced unequal outcomes. European wealth depended on labor. Plantations and mines demanded workers, but native populations were devastated by disease. So began one of history's darkest systems, the Atlantic slave trade. Over 12 million Africans were enslaved and transported across the ocean. Their forced labor powered sugar plantations, silver mines, and cash crop economies that enriched Europe. What does this reveal about the connection between commerce and morality? It reveals that economic progress can coexist with human suffering. Globalization created opportunity, but built it on exploitation. Under social interactions and organization, this period shows how racial hierarchies and coerced labor shaped the modern world. Even as European power grew, older empires adapted. The Ottoman, Mughal, and Qing empires expanded through strong bureaucracy and land control. The Tokugawa shogunate in Japan stabilized rule through isolation and social hierarchy. Across Afro-Eurasia, peasant and artisan labor intensified as global demand increased. If Europe dominated the seas, did land empires still matter? The answer is yes. Maritime empires expanded influence, but land empires continued to anchor regional order. History is never a single story. It's overlapping systems of continuity and change. Let's look at some key events and turning points that we'll see in this unit. 1450 to 1750 was an age of firsts. In 1492, Columbus connects the hemispheres. In 1521, Hernan Cortes conquers the Aztecs. 1572, Spain completes conquest of the Inca Empire. 1602, the Dutch East India Company forms, the world's first multinational corporation. 1424, Anna Nzinga resists Portuguese encroachment in Central Africa. And 1697, Peter the Great studies European technology to modernize Russia. What do these milestones have in common? They have in common that each represents a shift from regional to global systems, where ideas, goods, and power moved across oceans, not borders. This is the essence of transoceanic interconnections. Let's apply the AP skills. Contextualization. The age of exploration arose from Europe's rivalry, ambition, and access to global technology. Causation. The Columbian exchange and slave trade transformed populations, economies, and environments. Comparison. Maritime empires emphasized trade and colonialization. Land empires emphasized administration and control. And finally, continuity and change. Afro-Eurasian routes remained vital, but global commerce now included every inhabited continent. What kind of world emerged after 1750 because of these exchanges? An inter- Strawberries. An interdependent world, one of shared prosperity and shared vulnerability, shaped by the legacies of conquest and connection. From 1450 to 1750, humanity crossed a threshold. For the first time, every continent became a part of a single interlinked system. Empires rose on silver and sugar, cities thrived on spices and slaves, ecosystems blended, and cultures collided. Was this progress or exploitation? It was both. The age of exploration expanded horizons and horizons of suffering alike. The lesson is clear. Global connection is powerful, but never neutral. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm Mr. Hutchings, and thank you for joining me. Until next time, stay curious. History matters.